Coming up on Science News Weekly, brain scans, dead bees, and I want my chocolate. That's up next on Science News Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT. Bandwidth is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Science News Weekly with Dr. Kiki, episode number 6, recorded on Thursday, March 29th, 2012. The Duck Named Mars. It is Thursday, March 29th, 2012, and this is the science that made headlines this week. A study in the journal Science this week takes our understanding of the brain to a higher resolution. Literally, according to Van Whedon, the lead author of the paper, the brain is, quote, far from being just a tangle of wires. The brain's connections turn out to be more like ribbon cables, folding 2D sheets of parallel neuronal fibers that cross paths at right angles, like the warp and weft of a fabric. The research team used a technique called diffusion spectrum imaging to enable them to visualize neurons or the neuronal orientations and discover that the brain is organized like a grid. 2 additional science articles focus on the effects of pesticides containing neonicotinoids on bee colonies. One study found that the neonicotinoid called imidacloprid reduced the amount of food brought back to the exposed colonies by foragers and decreased the number of queens produced by 85%. A second neonicotinoid called thiamethoxam resulted in fewer exposed bees returning to the hive from foraging trips. Together, the studies provide significant evidence for the involvement of pesticides in what is called colony collapse disorder. A team of scientists publishing in Nature Nanotechnology demonstrated the famous wave-particle duality experiment with the largest molecules to date. Traditionally performed using individual photons of light, the recent study used phthalocyanine and related derivative molecules, which contained over 100 atoms each. As future experiments will attempt to use larger and larger molecules, we may yet be able to understand the forces at play at the quantum Newtonian transition area. On Sunday, the director James Cameron became the third person ever to voyage to the deepest point on Earth, the Challenger Deep, located in Mariana Trench. Mr. Cameron is also the only person to ever make the 7-mile trip solo. While it might be tempting to see this single trip as a publicity stunt of sorts, it is more importantly heralding an important era of deep ocean exploration on our planet. On March 27th at 4:58 a.m. Eastern Time, NASA launched 5 rockets to the edge of space, each launch separated by just 80 seconds. The rockets are part of the ATREX, or Anomalous Transport Rocket Experiment mission, whose purpose is to study the high-altitude jet stream where our atmosphere comes into contact with outer space. Researchers presented yet more evidence of briny liquid water on the surface of Mars this week at the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference in Texas. The lead researcher investigating the water indicating surface features, called recurring slope lineae, Alfred McEwen, was quoted as saying, "No one has come up with alternative models that they believe, nor have we. So, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's got to be water on Mars, right?" An analysis of the West Antarctic ice sheet using Landsat satellite records from 1972 to 2011 by glaciologists at the University of Texas at Austin found that the floating ice shelves in the eastern Amundsen Sea embayment are losing their grip on the Antarctic terra firma. The shelf margins are disintegrating at an accelerated pace, suggesting that glacial ice flow into the bay is speeding up as the ice shelves themselves shrink. It's kind of a tongue twister there. Dr. Irving Weissman and colleagues published research in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences this week that might lead to a single drug to cure many kinds of cancer. The study shows that many types of primary tumors display a signaling molecule called CD47 that keeps the immune system from attacking and killing them. The team was able to use a CD47 blocking agent or antibody to reduce tumors not only in petri dishes but also in mice. Future studies will determine whether the antibody works in humans as well. A study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine found a correlation between frequency of chocolate eating and body mass. People who ate cocoa treats more often fell lower on the body mass index. And while this news might propel you toward the candy aisle at the grocery store, I feel obligated to remind you that correlation does not equal causation. The researchers still don't know how this effect might be caused or what, if any, role chocolate plays in metabolism. That said, I feel a little bit better about eating my chocolate treats after reading about this study. And that does it for this week's Science News headlines. If you have any ideas of other science news stories for future weeks, or you just want to let me know what you think about these science news stories, you should email me at drkiki@drkiki.tv, or you can leave me a voicemail at 650-741-5454. That's 741-KIKI. To watch the full episode of Dr. Kiki's Science Hour, head over to twit.tv/Kiki. Thanks for watching.